Peace and love. Happy holy day. How's everybody doing out there today? Hope you're enjoying this blissful and wonderful holy day. Hope you're listening to your small, still voice. I'm listening to mine this morning. This morning, I should say. Excuse me. I'm going to hold on and let some people join the broadcast. Have some information to share with you today. Islam family. Islam brothers and sisters tuning in. I want to answer some questions. Islam. I want to answer a few questions, but I want to answer the major question. There's much confusion out there today. And I want to say that when I answer this question with over 26 years of experience in Moorish science and studying it and living it, practicing Moorish science day by day. You can ask this question, and many Moors will give you many answers. Some will emphasize civics. Some will emphasize astrology. Some may emphasize Ifa. Some may emphasize Islamism. And all of these are aspects of Moorish science. Ancient, and some modern. But there is one science which we can say permeates throughout all the other sciences that I have mentioned. And this is the science that I'm referring to. We'll get to it in a moment. But in order for us to move forward as a Moorish people, we have to be able to practice Moorish science in its entirety in order for us to be successful. And this key element, which, as we said, permeates throughout all the different sciences that I mentioned earlier, is one of the great failings of the Moorish movement right now. What is this science? It's very simple, but it's very crucial. And it is the science of self. Know thyself. Now, I'm not just going to tell you that. I'm going to go into it. It's not rhetoric. I'm going to go a little bit into it. In the language of Arabic, there is a science known as ilmun nafs, coming from the root alama, meaning to know. Ilmun nafs being the self, the inner self. Ilmun nafs literally translates into the science of self, or know thyself. Ilmun nafs can also be translated into psychology. See, this is what greatly affects our people and our unity and our division. The science of self was taken from the so-called Negro, black, and colored. This was given to us and returned to us by Noble Jew Ali, this science of self. Well, what is it? Well, in the introductions to the science of self, the Noble Jew Ali taught us of the higher self and the lower self. This is the foundation of Moorish science. The higher self and the lower self. Moorish science has been likened unto a divine, or the Moorish science temple itself, or the Moorish and the divine Moorish movement as a whole, can be considered as a divine hospital. And this comes from the ADAP lessons of old. This hospital is a hospital of the mind, and it deals with the various sicknesses that we inherited living other than ourselves in North America, being affected by the advent of slavery and many other type of psychological disorders that we still continue to practice in the so-called black community and even within the so-called Moorish movement. The reason that there is much confusion and much ego and many type of foul things that exist in the Moorish community today is because many people are studying various sciences, ancient and modern, of Moors, but they have yet to study the science of self. They have yet to get in control of their lower selves, or even know the true science of studying about the higher self and the lower self. Moorish Science Temple and other adept groups that emphasize the science of self are more successful than others. For example, if we look at the 60s and we look at many of the movements that continued from, forward from there, we'll see that much of their downfall is caused by not being in control of the lower self. For example, drugs, crack cocaine, and many of the other sex and many of the other weapons used against us in the so-called black community would not be as effective if the so-called black community knew of the higher self and the lower self and had decided to no longer practice lower self traditions. These lower self traditions are the inheritance of chattel slavery. These lower self traditions are hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. And this is what we are taught about in the 101s. Much of these practices are still practiced even within the Moorish movement today, because people bypass the science of self and go directly to their course of study, be it civics, be it history, language, be it the religious traditions and positions that they hold in temples, yet they have not attempted to build the temple of perfected man, which is what Moorish science is designed to build. We say that on the journey and in the so-called or quote-unquote divine hospital, the tools of the grand sheiks must be sterilized with love. Otherwise, the patients or the people coming in will be infected with the secret sins of an earthly-like salvation. You see, this is a Moorish divine and national movement. That means there is a divine salvation and there is an earthly salvation. But when you don't sterilize your tools with love and you merely emphasize the courses of study, then you get infected with the secret sins of an earthly-like salvation. And you have many people coming in for reasons other than uplifting fallen humanity, which is the purpose according to the questionnaire of why the Moorish Science Temple itself was founded. So you have people coming in looking for protection from child support. You have people coming in looking for protection from cases. You have people coming in looking for monies and that they can extract from instruments. You have all other types of reasons, but the purpose is to uplift fallen humanity. And in order to do that, you have to purify the self. It says you must, in Acts 7, you must purify your hearts and minds. You must purify your hearts and minds with love and keep your bodies clean with water. Not enough purifying of the hearts and minds with love. You see the egotistical brothers and sisters who claim to be masters of the self as they teach or supposedly teach, and as they mix truth with falsehood by spitting valuable information, and yet the falsehood is apparent in the cheap shots that they take at other Moorish groups and the unnecessary information that they put in that causes division, that turns them more off when they would have otherwise been listening. Can this be a true Moorish master? Again, the science of self, the uplifting of fallen humanity. This is the purpose. You can't have a nation. You can't have a tribe. You can't have anything that's going to be successful if it's not composed of a community of people that have purified themselves and have studied the science of self and are interested in character building, which is another term for Moorish science. character building. This character building does not have to interfere with any of the courses of study, but it should permeate throughout all the courses of study. And then you will see a cohesive Moorish movement. To that end, those interested in the Moorish cultural ministry and non-sectarian activities based on love, Acts 6 and 7, can contact the Moorish Cultural Ministry at moorishculturalministry@gmail.com. But this is not a plug for the Moorish Cultural Ministry. I know there are many brothers and sisters out there who want to be active, who are interested in the science of self, and who are interested in the character building, and have been looking for a place. They hit me inbox all the time and give me calls. So brothers and sisters, if you are seriously interested, then link up. Study the science of self. Get the lessons that Jew Ali brought on the science of self. That is not emphasized in many of the groups out there. And it's apparent in their leaders' demonstrations and in their students' demonstrations and the providence and karma that surrounds their demonstration. It's just time to be real with one another. The science of self. Islam. Islamism. The science of Islamism we'll deal with next, because there's much confusion around Islam, Islamism, Mohammedan, and we'll deal with that in Jew Ali's own words. Peace and love, Islam. Happy Holy Day.